Do you think you could beat up a chicken in a battle to the death? Personally, I think I'd come out on top. But what about 10 chickens? It gets a little harder, right? 30 chickens? 50? Now what happens when all these chickens work together and launch an all-out coordinated attack? You stand absolutely no chance. So how do you think this puffy blowhog feels when he sees 61 glow Pikmin fused together into a giant green ball of death? Imagine just trying to have a late night snack and the last thing you see is a massive lava lamp hurling itself towards you. Kind of overpowered if you ask me. Listen, I'm all for new abilities, but only giving glow Pikmin this fusion power is completely game breaking and will ruin the balance of Pikmin 4. There's only one obvious way to nerf glow Pikmin, and I'm sure you all know what I'm about to say. Let's give all the other Pikmin their own special fusions as well, because if everyone's OP, no one is. Before we start though, the probability of this actually happening is extremely low. Check out the English website. Glow Pikmin are the only types who are confirmed to have a fusion-like ability, so unless Nintendo pulls the plot twist of the century, I'm pretty sure this fusion mechanic is exclusive to glow Pikmin. The rules to this video are simple. To activate a fusion power, hold the charge button with your equipped Pikmin. Release the charge button to launch the attack when enough Pikmin join in. After using a fusion power, there is a 60-second cooldown before using any other fusion. You need a minimum of 10 Pikmin to fuse. The more Pikmin, the stronger the effect. The status effect given will last 1 second longer for every 10 Pikmin fused. All other Pikmin types are immune to fusion hazards. For example, if blues get caught up in yellow Pikmin's electric attack, they won't be harmed. So with all these boring rules out of the way, let's get into it. Reds are the fire-type Pikmin, and have also been known as the most basic type, so their fusion shouldn't be too complex. Given their 1.5 attack boost, Red's fusion power should be offensively strong. I think the best option for these guys is to go with the standard large fireball. When activated, all the red Pikmin in your party will collectively create a large fireball above their heads. When you release the charge button, the fireball gets hurled at the target. This attack does a large amount of damage to a single target and leaves them burned. They'll take small but consistent amounts of damage until the burn wears off. Yellows wield the power of electricity and also have the ability to be thrown much higher. Given their relationship to spending more time in the air, I think yellows should summon a menacing thundercloud. The cloud lets out a single strike at the targeted enemy and does moderate damage, but the lightning chain links to all other enemies in the area, leaving them stunned. Blue Pikmin unfortunately don't have much going for them. They have the exclusive ability to go underwater, but that's pretty much it, so their fusion won't be attack based. Instead, blues will trap all the nearby enemies in large bubbles similar to the water puss from Pikmin 3. This power gives our captain time to recuperate and reevaluate their battle strategy. If you decide to throw a Pikmin at an enemy trapped in a bubble, the bubble will burst and deal a moderate amount of damage. As the poison Pikmin, whites have a few interesting ideas. They can shoot acid at their opponents, poisoning them, but that's kind of similar to the fireball idea. What I had in mind was the white Pikmin blow out a large cloud of gas that does low but constant amounts of damage, but has a greater range. Essentially, your whole squad turns into a gas pipe. I imagine this attack will function very similar to Piranha Plant's down special from Smash Ultimate. So far, all the fusion powers we used were based off each Pikmin's respective hazards, but what about purple Pikmin who can't deal with any hazards? Don't worry, our little chonky boys get a very special fusion. They grow big. Like, really big. Once activated, the purples morph into a giant Pikmin and jumps directly on the target, dealing an immense amount of damage to a single enemy. It also produces a ground pound so strong, the other enemies nearby get stunned. Rocks have extremely hard bodies and can't be crushed, so why don't they do the crushing instead? Rock Pikmin group together and form a massive boulder. They hone onto their enemies and roll into them. The catch is, as the giant boulder rolls, it gets smaller and smaller as rock Pikmin start to fall out. When colliding with an enemy, they take a significant amount of damage. The boulder bounces back and loses some Pikmin. Whatever rocks are left in the boulder keep charging until they've all fallen out. Obviously, the less rocks in the boulder, the less damage it'll do. The power of flight is beyond busted, but Nintendo chose to balance these wings by giving them a lower attack stat, which is pretty understandable. Instead, winged Pikmin specialize in carrying objects while airborne, so when a group of winged Pikmin come together and use their fusion power, they circle around their prey, swoop in and lift them off the ground. Once high enough, the Pikmin drop their prey and it takes a sustainable amount of fall damage. The more wings, the higher they fly. The higher they fly, the more fall damage. Last but certainly not least is our newest regular Pikmin type, the Ice Pikmin. As far as we know, Ice Pikmin are the only type who are able to attack using their respective hazard. So for this one, I had to think a little harder since they already have the ability to freeze enemies. When these guys gather together, they summon a massive snow cloud, similar to the yellows, but instead of one massive strike, the entire battlefield starts getting showered in light hail. When enemies are trapped in this state, they move much slower than usual, but they aren't completely frozen. Before I end things off, I think it's only fair to give our special Pikmin types fusion abilities as well. When a large group of Bulbmen get together, similar to the purples, they grow into one giant Bulbman. However, unlike the purples, you have the ability to control this huge Bulbman. The goal is to run around and chomp down as many enemies as possible. The more Bulbmen that fuse together, the longer you get to play as this giant Bulborb. Puffmen, on the other hand, get an interesting ability. When a Puffstool sprays normal Pikmin, they then get infected and start to attack your own party. So when these guys use their fusion power, they target a specific enemy and infect them. This enemy then starts going around and fighting alongside us. To be completely fair, I do think Glow Pikmin are balanced, especially because it seems like they're the only type we can use during night mode. Even if that wasn't the case, Glow Pikmin seem relatively weak. If we take a look back at this clip, a swarm of 61 Glow Pikmin using their special attack just took down a Bluffy Pohog. Wow. Just managed to take down a Puffy Blowhog. So maybe I went a little too far with each Pikmin's abilities. None of the ideas I said in this video were balanced, but they weren't meant to be. This was just supposed to be a lighthearted, slightly comedic, what if kind of video. So I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to reading your comments. Oh, by the way, I could totally beat 50 chickens in a fight.